Hello, Shabbat Shalom, Cindy. Can you hear us? Do you get a voice signal from us? Can you hear? Very good, very good. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask? Or something that you would like to share before we start? Thank you so much. I would like to start with a question that Megan has asked. Megan was reading Weinreb book, Roots of the Bible, and she asked a simple question but very wise one. In one of the Egyptian plagues, one of the 10 plagues called Shrin, has to do with the skin. Shrin. Like this, I'm writing it. Shrin. How shall we do it? Shrin, like this. Shrin. The plague is being written with 4 Hebrew letters. Shin, Chet, Yod, Nun. But Weinreb in his book related only to the consonant. Shin, Chet, Nun. Shin, Chet, Nun. And Megan asked, why did not Weinreb take into consideration the letter Yod? And I replied and said that the letter Yod here in this word, and sometimes in other words, it is a vowel. It is functioned like a vowel. So Weinreb took the consonant Shin, Chet, Nun, and saw the pattern in it, which is 308, yes, and 50, which is Nun. Yes, 1 second. This is 8 and 50, which is Nun. And he saw the pattern of the snake 358 or the Messiah. This is something else now. And I gave her another example how the word of mercy, we say to mercy in English, but there is a noun in Hebrew called hachmara. This is to show mercy, to express. 1 second. And this process is being, in a way, described in the video that I attached this morning. I brought this word as an example of 2 things. When the word hachmara is written with both hey in the beginning and in the end, when both letters are function as vowels and the stem letters are kaf, resh, kaf mem, excuse me, it's the opposite, kaf mem and resh. The process of expressing mercy, according to the video showed how people traditionally used to preserve fruit at the end of the summer or at the beginning of autumn. There is a process in which people, for generations, yes, used to collect the fruit, whether it's pears, apples, peaches, and to put them in the ground. Good morning, Fernando. Shabbat Shalom. We are very happy to be here with you and with Cindy today. Good morning. Thank you for the new song. Cindy, Fernando composed a new song. Shabbat Shalom, Fernando. Yes, it's a beautiful one. Opens the heart. It is opening the heart when listening to it. Thank you so much. So there is a process called hachmara, expressing mercy. If we look again at the first letter and the last letter, hey and hey, those letters are functioning as vowels. When the stem letters are kaf, mem, resh. And what is the process of mercy in nature, or expressing mercy in nature? It is equivalent, yes, to preserving the fruits, yes, in the end of the summer or in the beginning of winter, when there's a beautiful harvest and there are more, let's say, fruit than we need. There is a process we could call in our modern time as preservation, or to conserve the fruit. Yes, to conserve them, that they will be eaten in the winter. But in an ancient, yes, terms of thinking, this process is called hachmara, from komer, yes, to show or express mercy. How can we express mercy? By preserving or conserving the fruit. There is a video that we attached into Discord this morning. We collect, or people collect, the pears, the apples, the peaches, all the fruits which are extra and were not eaten or were not eaten during the summer. They are being picked up and stores in certain little pans, yes, and there is a hole in the ground. And in the hole in the ground, it's like 2 or 3 meters, like a well. And at the bottom of it, people used to set a little fire to warm the hole, or to warm the oven, yes. And there are shelves inside. And people used to store those, let's say, pans, let's say, vessels with fruits in floors, yes, in this oven which is built in the ground. And people used to close, yes, the entering of, or the entrance of the oven for 3 days or for 72 hours, and then they take the fruit out, and the fruit is already, has crossed, yes, a process of preservation, or conservation, I don't know how to say, and it is ready to be used in winter time, in autumn, in autumn, in autumn. Yes, 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 yes. And this word hachmara, or this root kaf mem resh, is used in the text where Joseph cannot hold the tension anymore, and he sees Benjamin, his brother, and his heart is flowing with mercy. We have the text here. I will try to share it with us. Please tell me if you see the text. I'm now sharing it. If you see the text, yes, do you see the text in front of you? Yes, I'll try to make it large. I don't know, I'm trying now a new thing. Yes, yes. So this is Genesis 43. There's a lot of tension in the meeting. Yes, maybe Fernando or Cindy, would you like to unmute yourself and read the verses in English for the listeners on YouTube, for the recording? Would you mind reading the text in English? Yes? Cindy or Fernando, do you have a microphone? Can you use a microphone while reading the text in English? Thank you, Fernando. Hello.
Hello, Eti.
Good
Hello,
morning.
Cindy. Can you hear me?
We can. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Eti. Good to be here, Eti.
Thank you for coming.
So, Genesis chapter 43, Bereshit, verse 29. And he lifted up his eyes and saw Benjamin, his brother, his mother's son, and said, Is this your youngest brother of whom you spoke unto me? And he said, God be gracious unto thee, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his heart yearned toward his brother. And he sought where to weep, and he entered into his chamber and wept there.
Yes, beautiful, dear Fernando. Thank you so much. I will try now with a pen to mark the Hebrew text, which is using the same stem letters. 1 second, that we already wrote in the chat box. Nichmeru rachamav. Rachamav, his mercy. Mercy. Rachamim. The word is rachamim. Rachamav, his mercy. And nichmeru. There is a verse. Oh, the verb is kaf, mem, resh, kamar. It is when something is already being stored in the ground, like the preservation of the fruit that we expressed before. So why the Bible uses the term nichmeru rachamav? The Bible could write that he had a pity for his brother, but why nichmeru rachamav? Because his mercy, or the love that he had for his brother Benjamin, or the rest of the brothers, had to be what? The love that he had, Joseph, for Benjamin and the rest of the brothers could not be expressed because he was separated from them for 22 years. So he could not express love or mercy or compassion. So he had what? He had to bury the love that he had for them, to all of them. He had to bury the love in the ground inside of him, not to express, because he cannot see, there is no relation for 22 years. So he had to bury the love, the compassion, the sentiment that he had for his brothers, for his family. He had to bury them in the ground, not to express any sentiment, any emotion for 22 years. And this is why the Bible uses the word nichmeru rachamav, his mercy and his love were buried inside of him again. Now he sees him, he has to bury, because it is easy to bury mercy when you don't see someone, but when you see it is very hard. And then he asked to cry, because he cannot store the love and mercy inside of him and not express it outside of himself. Yes? So this is the meaning of the verb nichmeru rachamav. His mercy, in a way, were buried down again. But now when he saw him, he could not hold it inside of him, like to bury. What is to bury love? To bury the expression of love. So it's to kill, yes, so to speak. This is what happened to him when he himself. This is an interesting thing, because this is the only one here that the Bible states that his mercy, in a way, was buried in the ground. Nichmeru rachamav. This is the only expression in the book of Genesis about mercy. And this is regarding to Joseph. Yes? He had to bury love, not to express any sentiment for a long time, because it was impossible to express, because what has happened to him. The interesting thing is that, and I'm now looking at the board, I'm not looking so much at Discord, but to write something. Please pay attention that the word kamar, meaning to put something in the ground, to bury it in the ashes, so to speak, those letters in a different order are creating the word kerem, vineyard, kerem. It has the value of 260. And also to sell, machar, first mem, then kaf, then resh, to sell. To sell. Interestingly, Judah sold. He sold Joseph. Joseph himself was put in the ground like a living entity being buried alive in a pit, in an open grave. What is a pit? Is an open grave. So in a way, and this is a beautiful parallel picture, because Joseph, this beautiful fruit, yes, in the age of 17 is the value of good. He is 17, the value of good, tov, what is been said regarding to the light. He is 17 years old, and the brothers are selling him to be a slave. So he is the best fruit of, so to speak, his father, the beloved one. Yes? The beloved one. He himself, yes? He is a crossing, a process called hachmara, meaning mercy. The fact, in a way, and now we can see this parallel to the fruit. The fact that he was put alive in a pit, yes, or in a grave. It's an open grave, basically, when Thomas Mann described in his book Joseph and His Brothers what is happening from Joseph's perspective, because he gives a voice to Joseph being in a pit, in a grave, alive. He calls it a grave, basically, Thomas Mann. In English we say a pit or a hole. Thomas Mann calls it open grave. So they buried him alive in a grave, in a pit, in a hole. And he himself, Joseph, he goes through this process of 72 hours being there, just in the ground, In a way, the open ground is mercy him, so he is in a way dying. Yes, yes. His dressing is removed from him, and so he is dying as Joseph, the son of Jacob, but he will come out alive, yes, after 72 hours, yes, or so, as Osiris, yes, Thomas Mann gives him an Egyptian name or Hebrew slave after 72 hours. So what has happened to him? The process of selling him, the process of selling Hamechira, Mechirat Yosef, the selling of Joseph, Mechirat Yosef, will turn out after so many years, yes, to an expression of love and mercy. Yes, the selling, the letters in a way change their position, Mem and Kaf. Yes. And then we have a process of mercy, of love. He was sold, but the process of selling turns out opposite itself and becomes a great expression of love and mercy. By the way, the word priest in Hebrew is komer. Komer. Those are the same letters. Komer, priest. Komer. Yes, yes. This is true. This is true. That's correct, Cindy. So, do we understand the connection between selling and having mercy? Yes, selling, vine, mercy has the same root letters. All of them has the same value as 260. 260 is 26, or an expression of the oneness, because once we look at the letter Aleph, yes, we have Vav. This is the letter Vav. Its value is 6. And each Yod here has a value of 10. So we have every oneness Aleph, which is 1, is also 26. And here we have 260. So when we look at the Bible, and this is what happens to many people, they look at like a personal story. This is personal story of Joseph and personal story of Abraham or Sarah. But when we really zoom really out and far, and we could see all those 26 generations from Adam to Moses from far, not engaged, emotional, yes, or engaged personally, yes, with the story. So if really zooming out, we can see that there is a pattern. This is not personal story of Joseph. This is not personal story of Jacob. This is not a personal story about Moses or Abraham. It's not a personal story, because only when we really zooming out, we can see all of those 26 generations, though they have different names, different arenas, different geographical, let's say, atmosphere and landscape. This is an expression of the oneness, expression of the one, expression of non-duality. Komer means priest in Hebrew. In English we say priest. Let's say in the church there's a priest. In Hebrew, we say komer. Komer, it is coming from the same notion that an expression of love and mercy. Yes? Any questions? Yes, it means also to bury. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. It means to bury. It means, Cindy, both to bury and to burn in ashes. It means both to bury and to burn in ashes. Yes, like the video, if you have the time, maybe you just can skip it because it's a very slow video in the beat of the people which are living in this way. But you can see it is both to put it, to bury it under the ground, and that it will be burned. Yes? So it means both to bury, yes, and to burn. This is the meaning of kamar. Nichmeru rachamav. Yes? So this is an interesting thing because in this beautiful exposition, yes, is there a possible correlation between how people are buried in the ground after? Yes. You can, I think it is, you can see that. You can see that from this example. Yes? Yes. So if we don't look, yes, at this chapter or the biblical story as personal, yes, we can see an interesting expression that what seems or what seemed in the beginning or seems in the beginning as a brutal relations between one human to another one, very brutal. To remove we shall not go into details, we can read it in the Bible, to remove his dressing, to throw him to a grave, open grave. And the Bible says there's no water in the grave or in the hole or in the well. There's no water, but there are snakes and scorpions. Yes? It is very brutal. But this picture that seems very brutal and unconceivable turns out to be a golden sun. Yes? Because this fruit, which is, so to speak, Joseph, the best fruit, yes, is being buried alive by the infinite mercy, not by Judah and not, by the hate or resentment of the brothers. This is infinite. Because the infinite works through people, through events. Nobody has a personal doership. Not Reuben, who was not at the same day, yes, and asked not to kill him. Not Judah, not the rest of the brothers. Nobody has a personal doership. And this is a beautiful, beautiful thing. From this story, we can learn a lot. Also, what we can learn a lot is about the cycle of the sun. 1 second. Joseph does not see his father for 22 years. Where is the, here, 22 years. I move to the whiteboard. Yes, here, maybe. We are using a different technique at the moment, so I'm not I'm learning. Joseph does not see his father for 22 years. There are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. Yes? The 22 means also, or symbolizing, not just the years and the letters, but the knowing. Because when we read, we know. Every the sun has, let's say, cycles of 22 years. The sun in the sky. 11 years are considered to be like a positive pole, and then there's a flip, and the poles of the sun, they flip, and then we have 11 years with the negative pole together. Yes, together we have 22. Joseph is the 11th son of Jacob. Again, this is interesting to see. And also Jacob himself, when he ran out from his brother Esau to the house of Laban, did not see his father Isaac for 22 years. Yes? Jacob did not see, how can I say, did not see Isaac for 22 years. And here we come again across with what the sages are telling us, that everything that happened to Jacob also had happened to Joseph. This is why we find in the Bible the term Ele. These are Ele Toledot, the generations, Ele Toldot, Yaakov, Yosef. These are the generations, Jacob, Joseph. If I translate it harshly to English, these are the generation, Jacob, Joseph. What is this sentence? What is this verse? The sages are saying that everything that happened to Jacob also happened to Joseph. Why? Jacob is 182 value. Joseph is 156. When Jacob is what? 7 times 26. Yes? And Joseph is what? 6 times 26. So everything, please pay attention that this is a similar picture. Yes? Because the 7, yes, contains the 6. The 26, both of them has the 26. Both of them has having the unity. Yes? Jacob 7 times and Joseph 6 times. So 7 also includes the 6. Therefore, whatever happened, yes, to Jacob also happened to Joseph. And here we go. I'll try to make another drawing here. I'm not sure how to move here. I'm asking your forgiveness because yes. And here we go to the tree of life, and here it goes, showing whatever happened to Joseph or Jacob happened to Joseph. Here we go. Yeah. Those are the spheres, the 7 lower spheres here. Those are the 7. Here we have the upper, beyond time and space, the mochin, the mind. Yes. And here is Jacob in the heart, Tiferet, which is, his name is Jacob Yaakov. Yes, 7 times 26. When Joseph is here, please pay attention to both of them are on the axis of the middle line. Yes, here is Joseph. Yes, Yosef. 1 second, Yosef. 156. 626. So, whatever happened to Jacob, אלה תולדות יעקב, Yosef. You see? They're sharing, in a way, the same axis in the tree of life. Both of them are, how do you say, are locating in the middle line. Jacob on Sfirat Tiferet, this is beauty of the heart. Beauty. Yes, and Joseph on Yesod. Yesod, where shall we try here? Yesod. Yesod, foundation. Yesod, foundation. Here it is. Questions so far? Yes, Cindy, Esav sold the birthright. I'm just thinking about the aspect of the selling being in the stories. Yes, there's a lot of things to think, who is buying, who is selling. Yes. Yes. Questions so far? So what did we learn today? We learned about the process of conserving fruit or the preservation of fruit after the summer is gone. So the process has to do with collecting the fruit and putting it in a hole in the ground, and then in this oven in the ground or a hole in the ground, people are lighting a bit of fire, and the fruit are stored in fire for 72 hours. And then when they close the opening of the oven of the well, and when they take it out, the fruit is already preserved because all the moist, you can look at the moist, the water, it was dried up. We can look, this is a parallel process to what happened to Joseph, putting him in an open grave to dry him out, yes, from sentiment, from dry somebody's heart completely, drying him out. And we saw, in a way, that this is not about personal doership. Yes, the hate or the rivalry between Judah and Joseph, yes, or the brothers of Joseph, about the dreams, interpretation of dreams. It is not about it. There's an infinite script which is running. Yes, this infinite script is running and is being lived and expressed by people, living humans. But no one has a personal doership or intention. Therefore, nobody is a sinner and there is no guilt. Yes, very good. Like the water, the moisture being removed is also the idea of water being space and time. Yes, 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 yes. This is beautiful, Cindy. This is beautiful. There is a suction effect while putting Joseph in this open grave, or the fruit in this oven underground or in the ground. You can see the video. There's a suction. Yes, suction. All the water, all the moist is being sucked from the fruit or from Joseph's heart. He becomes a dried fruit. Yes. And he's being led into the desert of Egypt. But there, after 22 years, what happens is like you take, how do you call in English when you have a bicycle? Yes, so you have the wheel of the bicycle wheels, but inside of the bicycle there is like cycle balloon which we pump the air inside. How do you call it? I don't know how to call it in English. I have no idea. This is the inner. There is the tire, the tube that you put air inside. When you have a flat tire, you put a tube. Yes, so the tube. Yes, in Hebrew we call it pnimit. Pnimit, the inner feminine. The pnimit is inner, or feminine inner. You call it tube, in Hebrew the inner. So in a way, all the emotions, everything, sentiment was pumped out or sucked, yes, dry from Joseph. Like you open the balloon and all the air is coming out, becomes a thin gummy. And after 22 years, in a tube, yes. And after 22 years, yes, there's a pumping of air from infinite, and you see that Joseph has so much mercy to the brother, first to Benjamin, through the story of Benjamin. Yes, and Simon again, the story, and Judah. And he said, don't take it upon yourselves, because you did not do it. This is God's story in a way, or God's plot, God's lila, God's story. This is not your fault. He asked them not to think that they made some kind of a fault, or he doesn't accuse them. His brothers are not sinners in his eyes. Yes, there's a beautiful expression of mercy from Joseph. He just asked one question: Ha'od avi chai? Still my father is alive, because he doesn't know. Yes. You see, people, this is a beautiful story that, in a way, this is a good example how people, us, cannot have any intention whatsoever. It's a beautiful story. In court, this is interesting, in court people are questioning motives or intention. In this biblical story, or in this reading, we can see how People could not. We cannot have any intention. Because what activates all of us or animates all of us is a higher source. And sometimes in our lives, yes, you're most welcome. And sometimes in our lives, what we consider in a moment as a bad script, yes, this is a word for all of us, yes, what we consider in our lives in the moment of the happening as a bad script or a wild dream which is happening to us, each one in his course, yes, we consider it as a very, very very bad script on how do you say, bad dream, even nightmare. When time comes, or when the inner tube is being pumped up and we see the whole play, we can see it was the best point or the best turn in our lives. Yes? Sometimes in the moment we think this is horrible. How could such a point happen to us? How did I arrive to this point when such a thing is happening to me? Slash me, there is no me, of course, yes? John, Paul, Mary, and so. How did it happen? Okay, because we did not do it. We did not create the condition that will lead us to a certain fiasco, to a certain crisis. We did not do all of it. So those thoughts, how did it happen to me, and so, will not help because we did not do it. We did not write the script. We are just what? We are just actors in the play. And when time moves on and we have a deeper and far perspective, we can see that it was the best point of our lives because everything from this point turned on its axis. So this was our little conversation for today. If you have any question or thought or experience to share, please feel free. Thank you so much, Fernando. Thank you, Cindy, Abigail, Yanis. Here, Cindy. Hello, Cindy?
Hello, good morning. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can. Fernando, Abigail, Yanis, can you hear Cindy? Yes, very good. Yes, yes.
Okay. I was gonna share a little story, if I may, that came to my mind. It You may have heard it, Eddie. I don't know, but a young girl was walking through a field. There's just a lot of similarities to the story, and she was walking through a field, in ancient times where there were pits, like Joseph fell into, or he was thrown into. But she fell into the pit. She was, like I said, young, and she was alone. And she began to call for help, thinking, no one will hear me. I will die here. But there happened to be a man coming along near there, from another village, from another town. And he thought he was hearing things, but he eventually got to the pit near her and said, are you real?" And she said, "Yes, yes, I'm real. Please help me out." And he said, "Well, if I help you out, you need to marry me. Will you marry me?" And she gave her word that she would marry him, and so he pulled her out, and he wanted to be married right then, but she said, "Well, no, I need to go to my father's house, and we need to do this properly." And he said, "Okay, well, I'm going to go back to my town and village. You go back to your town and village, and I'll come get you after a while, and we'll have a proper marriage ceremony and things." And but he lost um, kind of what he had said to her, and he went on about his life back in his village and married another woman, but she and her village never did. And she told people the story, and they like, "Why is he not coming? Why is he not coming?" And she just kept remaining faithful to him, saying, "No, I promised myself to another man. I cannot marry someone else." And to the point where her town kind of pushed her away as crazy, and that she'd lost her mind. In the meantime, her man had found another woman and a wife, and they began to have children. And the children began to one died by falling into a pit, and then another one died another kind of strange way. And the woman said to her husband, "This is so strange. I think you haven't told me something. I think there is something more in your life, because these are so strange, these deaths of our children." And it hit him at that moment. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm promised to another woman. And she said, "You must go back to her, to your promise." And so he does, and he comes back years later, maybe even 22 years, I don't know, but he comes back and he finally does get her, and the whole town is like so surprised. "Oh, she was right. You were right. This is crazy." But he does marry her, and it just kind of makes me think about how the pit must be returned to the story, the original story, the pain, the whatever it is, like, even though it's beautiful, after God has brought in the breath and the newness, his mercy, there is still the story kind of of where the mercy was made. And anyway, it reminded me of that story. So thank y'all for listening.
Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful story. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here on this beautiful Shabbat, opening the summer with us, or winter in the southern hemisphere. Yes, 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 beautiful. And we thought, just I would like to share with you just a notion. We thought maybe on Monday to start reading. Let's see how it goes. This is just, how do you say, an offering, and I would like to share it with you. To start from Monday, reading Weinreb book together, meaning we can use the whiteboard, we can post the pages, yes, from Weinreb book. And you could read, you can unmute yourself and read the English text to the listeners, to the friends here on Discord. And if there's a need to stop and to explain a concept, because what I have noticed that people are reading the English, but sometimes there is a lack of the context. What is he talking about? The English is understood, but what is behind this English? What is going behind of, you know? So we can start reading it on Monday. See how it goes. We need volunteers to read in English. Yanis, Fernando, Abigail, Cindy, those who are hearing us on YouTube, those who are friends on Discord, and they come from time to time. There is a need of readers in English, and then when there's a need, we should stop and express, yes, what guides Weinreb in writing those lines, what concepts he's trying to portray or to share with us. So just to share with you, if you have any thought, if you have a sentiment for it, if you feel that it fits your needs, I shall be happy to hear you. Yes? Yes. Very good, Yanis. So, very good. Mazel Tov. This is June, is the holiday of the book, the Matan Torah. Yes? So, you received the book, yes? And Cindy has it. Excellent. And Abigail, excellent. And Luke and Fernando, yes? It will be such a great journey to read it with you. I'm already waiting. Yes, this is a great timing. You see? So we could read it together. We could mark, yes, the words, understand the idea behind it. It's okay. We could post the pages. Yes, and you could read the book with us until it arrives at July, Abigail. Don't worry. So we shall do a mutual reading on Monday and see how it goes. And until then, I shall be missing you. Yes? And you can write and share ideas and songs, Fernando, on Discord and ideas until we meet here on Monday. So thank you so much and lovely weekend and most lovely and good season. Shalom and Shavua Tov. See you soon. See you soon, all of you.